Hello, my dear student friends. So, welcome you all to the third lecture of digital image processing. In this lecture, we shall be discussing about the components of image processing system, and the next point is nothing but elements of visual perception. Okay, so myself, Professor VM Davande. Okay, so let us start with our lecture. So let us start with the first point, that is nothing but components of digital image processing. Okay, so let us take an example that you want to obtain your iCard size photo. Okay, so what you used to do? You used to go to the Photoshop and you say that I need to have a iCard size photos. Then they will offer different kinds of packages about how many number of copies of your iCard size photos that you want and all these things that we will be discussing in this. Okay, so with this simple example, we will understand which are the components of the digital image processing system. So problem domain is what? Right now you want to have your iCard size photo, isn't it? So simply now the problem domain is what? You want to have your iCard size photo. Okay, so then the photographer comes and he will take the picture with the help of digital camera. So the digital camera is nothing but having the two components in which it comprises of image sensor and the specialized image processing hardware, right? So the camera is nothing but simply a image sensor, right? So remember that whenever you are talking about the camera, it is a one kind of transducer. So here in this case the camera transducer is nothing but a photo detector type of transducer. So it is going to convert the whatever the light intensity or the picture scene have been captured, it is going to convert in terms of voltage. Okay, so now this is nothing but voltage is your that analog quantity, and that we need to convert it in the form of digital, right? So for that purpose the specialized image processing hardware is associated with that. Okay, so you might have observed that camera is having a very, so it is having some kind of weight and it consists of image processing hardware, right? So whatever the scene that has been captured by means of image sensors, those details will be carried out towards the hardware which is going to process the contents of your image, right? So it is going to give you a soft copy of that particular image onto your mass storage, right? So this specialized image processing hardware is nothing but what? A camera's microprocessor or microcontroller it may be, right? So this is nothing but your specialized image processing hardware which is present inside that camera itself. Okay, then what we used to do, or the operator or the photographer used to remove that SD card, right? The SD card, micro SD card is there, which is inside that camera, and onto which your image is been recorded, or the copy of that soft copy of your image will be stored on that device, right? That is micro SD card. That micro SD card he is going to plug into the computer, right? And with the help of image processing software he used to do some kind of image enhancement, right? So this is nothing but your image processing software. So let us say they have Adobe Photoshop on which they used to do generally a different image enhancement processes. Okay, they used to go for image enhancement, then they used to go for let us have 8 copies of your iCard size photos, then they are going to have a that standard the format of 8 copies of your iCard. Then what they used to do, they used to put it on the network. So this is nothing but the network, right? So after computer, after processing everything, okay, after processing everything by means of image processing software, after enhancement and different kinds of further processing, they used to upload it to the network, so that the machine, that is the printing machine which has been connected onto the that particular network for the printing purpose, it will receive that copy and it will print out that copy. Okay, so by means of this you will be getting a hard copy of your image, right? So you'll be getting 8 copies of your let us say iCard size photos. Okay, so this is nothing but a hard copy, and to that computer definitely the monitor is there, it is nothing but a simple image display, right? And the mass storage is nothing but it's a hard disk, right? So remember that with this simple example you can understand what a simple components of image processing system. Is that fine? Okay, so remember that in image sensor the 2 points are associated. Which are those? First is nothing but the sensors which are going to absorb the light energy which is there or which is received from the lens system, okay, and that will be converted in the form of a voltage. So transducer's work is what? It has to receive the physical quantity. Right now the physical quantity is what? It is a light intensity perceived by that particular sensor, right? And this transducer is going to convert this light intensity in the form of voltage. Okay, so right now voltage is nothing but a analog quantity, isn't it? So whatever the image sensor is going to produce is nothing but an analog quantity that we need to convert in the form of a digital sequence, right? So digital stream of bits has to be converted. So for that we need to have a digitizer. Are you getting it? So for the purpose of converting the analog information provided by the image sensor into the digital form, we need a digitizer, right? And then we can go for the further processing based on the digital data. Okay, so we are going to go for different kinds of an image enhancement and all these things by means of a image processing software once we receive the soft copy of that particular image. Okay, so remember that mass storage again is a very important, it plays a very important role. Until and unless we don't have any kind of mass storage, we cannot perform any kind of image processing application. Okay, so we cannot go for the image processing until and unless we don't have any kind of mass storage. Is that fine? More details about this block diagram. Okay, now focus on this. So first point is nothing but the image sensor. Saying 2 elements are required to acquire the images, right? So which are those? A physical device sensitive to energy radiated by object we wish to take its image. Okay, so the first fundamental is what, or the first equipment which is required to acquire the image is what? It is a device which can convert or which can perceive or receive the energy radiated by the scene that which we want to take its image, right? Then we need to have the digitizer to convert the output of this physical sensing device into the digital form. That means your image sensors are nothing but a transducer which are going to generate the voltages, and that voltages needs to be converted into a digital form, and that is the work of the digitizer, isn't it? So in digital cameras, sensors produce an electrical output as I discussed it, okay, which is proportional to the light intensity perceived by that particular sensor, and then a digitizer is going to convert that analog quantity into the digital form, right? Then next one is nothing but a specialized image processing hardware, that is nothing but a simple ALU, arithmetic logical unit, right? So which can perform different kinds of arithmetical and logical operation on that image, and it can convert that image in a proper required form that we can perceive or that we can observe a quality of image onto our graphic display which is fitted to that, let us say, a digital camera, right? Okay, then so we are going to take an example of again that taking the iCard size hard copies. Okay, so once the photographer is going to take your image, he is going to remove that SD card and he is going to plug in into computer. Okay, so a computer is a basic image processing system which can go for different kinds of application. By means of different kinds of application, it is going to perform a different image enhancement and image processing over that particular image that whatever we have right now taken out. Okay, so software, so by means of a software only we can go for image processing, right? So there are multiple softwares are available in case of your mobile phone as well as in case of your laptops or computers are concerned, right? So Adobe Photoshop is a very familiar example, or GIMP is another example. So different kinds of examples are there by means of which we can go for the image enhancement and image processing. Okay, so this is nothing but simply a software which is specialized image processing tool which can perform a specific task associated to the images, right? The next is nothing but a mass storage. Okay, this is required capability in image processing application. So until and unless we don't have that SD card, we cannot record or we cannot store our images onto that particular SD card. So we need to have the SD card, right? Okay, if let us say I have an image of a resolution of 1024 and 1024 as I discussed earlier into the very first lecture, right? So 1024 10 multiplied by 1024 is the resolution of that, let us say, image, and that image will be of what will be the camera quality of that image? It is 1 megapixel camera, right? So how many megapixels are there? There are 1 megapixels available into this image, and let us say for each pixel, if it is going to take 8 bits, okay, so if a single pixel is represented by a 8 bit, then what can be the size of that particular image? Okay, so that can be computed by means of a formula, number of resolutions or the number of pixels multiplied by number of bytes. Okay, we are going to convert it in terms of bytes, right? So 8 bits is equals to a 1 byte, right? I hope you are very familiar with this 8 bytes and all these things. Okay, 8 bits and 1 byte is one and same quantity. So 8 bits is equals to 1 byte. So that much amount of data will be required to store that image. So 1024 into 1024 multiplied by 1 byte, okay, because 8 bits are used to represent a single pixel. So how many such pixels are there? 1 megapixels are there. So definitely 1 megabyte will be the required size to store the image. Okay, and remember that this is true if the image is not compressed. Okay, so whenever you are going to check out your images which have been captured on with the help of your camera phones, let us say you have a 12 megapixel camera, then it may be having a resolution of let us say 3000 into 4000. Okay, as I have that 12 megapixel camera, so the resolution of every image, if I am going to capture with a 12 megapixel resolution, then I'll be getting 3000 pixels into 4000 pixels. That will be the resolution of my any image. Okay, and if I'm going to consider, let us say, 8 bits for that. Okay, so remember that our mobile phones are having compression techniques into it. So it has a processor, right? That is ALU, specialized image processing hardware. So processor is nothing but a image processing hardware, remember it. So if it is having a compressor into it, then definitely, so whatever the image size is nothing but, so if you are going to multiply 3000 into 4000, it is going to result 12 megapixels, and if 8 bits are represented for this, then your image size must be of 12 MB. But remember that if I am going to have an image and if I am going to check its size, then it will be in terms of 2.5 MB or 3.5 MB, because it has a compression technique. So that 12 MB will be compressed in terms of 2.5 MB or 3 MB. Okay, so remember that your cameras are having compression techniques. Okay, so that's why I have mentioned it clearly into the bracket. If the image is not compressed, then it is true. Is that fine? Okay, so now let us discuss the second point, that is nothing but the elements of visual perception. Okay, so in this point we are going to discuss about how a image will be created in a human eye. Okay, so you might be aware or you might not be aware, so let us discuss that. Okay, so remember that this is the structure of your human eye. It is a horizontal cross section of your human eye. So remember that a human eye is nearly a sphere. okay, with the average diameter of about 20 mm. Okay, so if you are going to take any diameter of any human, it will be ranging in an average as 20 mm in size. Okay, so it's nearly a spear. You might have seen or might not have seen. Okay, fine. So let it be. Remember that this eye is enclosed into the three membranes. Okay, so which are those? The first membrane is nothing but a outermost membrane, that is nothing but a comprising of cornea. This is cornea and the sclera. So sclera and cornea, this is a one outer covering. Okay, why that called as a different, why it is named as a different names, that we are going to discuss in the further slides. But still now, up till now, you just remember that the cornea and the sclera, this is the outermost covering of your human eye. Is that fine? So then next to that, it is having a choroids. Okay, so this is nothing but the layer which is beneath of your sclera and cornea is nothing but a choroid. Okay, and finally the innermost core or innermost layer is nothing but your retina. Okay, onto which the image will be produced. Fine. Okay, so remember that. So this is nothing but, I hope you can recognize some lens, iris, the anterior chamber, right, then vitreous chamber, right. So we are going to discuss all these things, and optic nerves, suspensory ligaments, and all these things that we are going to discuss. Okay, so this is nothing but a color image of our human eye. It's a horizontal cross section of that human eye, right. Let us have one more example of this. Okay, so this is nothing but the example which is present into the book. Okay, so the book is nothing but, I am referring right now the very famous book, that is nothing but Digital Image Processing by Rafael Gonzalez and Richard E. Woods. Okay, so this is the diagram which is available into that book as well. Okay, so I hope you can recognize again the cornea, then sclera and cornea, it is the outermost covering of that eye, right. Beneath that there is a choroid, and finally the innermost core is nothing but a retina. I hope you know that retina and all these things, retina scanning and all these things are there. Okay, so remember that retina is the part on which your actually images are being produced. Okay, so remember that the retina is the part or is the layer which is responsible to develop a image onto it. So simply we can call that this is a your recording stage. This is nothing but your image sensor, right. So it is going to record or it is going to generate the image, overall image. Is that fine? Okay, so let us discuss about these three layers. Okay, so cornea is nothing but a transparent layer, okay, which is made up of tissues. Okay, it is made up of tough tissues. Okay, so remember that transparent means it can transfer the light from it, okay, through it. So the light can be transferred from this transparent area. So this is the front or the anterior part, that is front portion of your eye. Okay, so from which we are going to receive the light energy, and then we can see that yes, it is let us say an object, that is let us say mobile phone, laptops, and all these things. So the images will be created on the retina. Is that fine? Okay, so then the back portion of cornea is termed as a sclera. Okay, so the back side of this cornea, which is an opaque means it is not going to have any kind of transparency. So the sclera is nothing but a part of exterior portion of a cornea, and this sclera is nothing but a opaque. So then the next part is nothing but your the choroid. A choroid is nothing but the inner layer or the beneath layer which is in between the retina and the cornea and sclera. Okay, so this layer is responsible for providing a nutrition, it is consisting of blood vessels. Okay, it is consisting blood vessels and nerve endings. Fine. So the blood vessels and nerve endings are responsible to provide the nutrients to the eye. Okay, so the blood vessels and nutrients will be delivered with the help of these blood vessels. And the nerve system is nothing but what? The nerve system is related to the brain interface. So the nerve endings are connected to the brain, and by means of that we will be receiving some instructions, and with respect to that instructions our eye is going to relocate, right? So it is going to focus on to particular things, and then we can say that yes, that object is related to this one and that category, and likewise we can classify the different objects by means of that nerve endings. So the choroid is the layer in which the blood vessels and nerve endings are there, and which are going to take decisions, and it is going to provide the nutrition to the eye. Okay, fine. Then the innermost portion is nothing but called as a retina, onto which the all the image will be captured. So again, okay, I forgot to mention some about choroid. Again, the anterior part of the choroid is consisting of ciliary bodies and iris. Okay, so iris and ciliary bodies are present, by means of which the lens system is been hanged over there. Okay, or the lens system will be supported. Lens is nothing but what? It is a fibrous transparent material or fibrous transparent tissues which are going to again used for focusing the particular object or scene. Okay, so with the help of this cilia fibers, cilia bodies and cilia muscles, the lens will be suspended over there. Okay, and I hope you can identify the center of the element. So I hope you can recognize this line. Central line is there, visual axis. Yes, is it visible to you? Okay, so visual axis is nothing but the our center of focus or image. Okay, so fovea is the part which is responsible for taking care about the colors and brightness intensities. Okay, so in fovea, or okay, that we'll discuss in the last portion of your discussion of the retina. Fine. So lens is suspended in between a cilia bodies and the iris, right? And the lens is responsible for zooming and zooming out. Okay, so remember that a lens system, so as like our camera lenses, our human eye is also consisting of a lens. Okay, which is made up of fibrous tissues which are transparent in nature. Okay, so the all the lenses are responsible for auto zooming, right? So our human eye is having a very best example of lens, that is nothing but a lens which is introduced into our eye, that is going to focus onto a particular object by means of zooming and zooming out, right? Okay, and it is been suspended by means of what? That is iris, and it is present in between iris and cilia fibers. Okay, fine. And remember that the lens is pigmented in a slightly yellowish color. Okay, so you might have heard about the cataracts. Okay, so cataract is the problem with the lens system. So if the extra clouding is created on the lens, then it can create the color discrimination problem, and it may have some poor visual effects. Okay, so it will not give you poor it will give you poor quality of a visual, okay, vision. Fine. So in that case we used to go for the operation of cataracts, that is nothing but a मोती बिंदू आपण म्हणतो, बरोबर. तर लेन्स वरती एक्स्ट्रा असं क्लाउडिंग तयार होतं, व्हाईट कलरची दुधारी धार तिथे येते, पडदा आल्यासारखं म्हणतो आपण. आणि देन we used to go for the operation, and by means of that operation we are going to cut out that the portion of that clouding, and again we can have a clear vision. Okay, so remember that So whenever the cataracts are going to occur because of the extra clouding, the lens system is unable to focus or unable to have the give you a proper clear vision, and because of that we cannot get the clear vision by means of this lens. Okay, fine. So the let us say again, so infrareds and ultraviolet rays are also, if it is entering into our human eye, then the proteins which are present inside the eye, they are going to absorb these infrareds and ultraviolet lights, but it is in terms of a limited quantity. If the extraneous extra x-rays or let us say ultraviolet rays are going to enter into our eye, then definitely it can damage our eye and it may cause a blind eye. Okay, so we may lose our vision. Okay, if the extra ultraviolet rays or infrareds are going to enter into our eye. Okay, fine. So the last part of this eye is nothing but a retina, on which the image will be created. So retina is nothing but a wall, right? So it is nothing but a tissue or wall. It is a exterior part, so image will be developed on the exterior part of wall of your retina. Okay, so this in this range or in this area only the image will be produced. Okay, so remember that the center of your visual axis where meets at the cornea, sorry, at the retina, that portion is called as a fovea. And remember that in case of retina there are two light receptors. Okay, so all the vision or all the light that will be received by means of lens system, once the eye is focused onto the particular object or scene, then it is going to receive the light energy and it will focus onto the fovea. So remember that our eye is going to look out for the interested image. Okay, so until and unless our fovea is not receiving the interested object or scene, up till then our zooming system or our that what we can call our scanning system of eye is going to scan that particular area. And once we receive our interested object or thing or scene, we receive at the center of our that visual axis, that is nothing but a fovea, then our eye is going to focus onto that particular thing, and then across your that particular interior wall or exterior wall of our retina, the image will be created or it will be uh, produced at the that portion. Okay, so remember that likewise we used to see the image or see the scene. Again, remember that in case of retina there are two receptors, one is called as cone and another one is called as rods. Okay, so uh, cones are the receptors which are responsible for color discrimination. Okay, so we can discriminate the colors by means of cones, and the cones are mostly located or primarily located across or near the fovea. Okay, so it is primarily located near the fovea area, right? So that means we can say that it is distributed across or near by the fovea. Okay, fine. And these number of how many number of cones per eye is there? So remember that in a human eye there are 6 to 7 million number of cones are present in a single eye. Okay, and each of these cones are connected to its own nerve endings. Okay, so by means of that we can discriminate the colors. Okay, and with the help of these cones we can say that yes, it is a red color, it may be a blue color, it may be a green color, right? Okay, and the other, so that's why it is called as, the cones are called as a photopic vision. Okay, or it is going to receive bright intensities. Okay, so that's why it is called as photopic vision. And the another type of receptor is nothing but rods. So there are large number of rods as compared to our cones. Okay, So cones are nothing but, the rods are nothing but the, let us say we can call this as black and white receptors, or they are going to simply receive the intensity, brightness intensities. Okay, so they are in large amount. So let us say from 75 to 150 millions of, as these rods are distributed across the entire portion of a retina. So as their area is large and they are not giving a more detail about that color information, so they are simply connected to the single nerve ending, and because of this they are not going to give you a more fine details about the color. Okay, so remember that these rods are giving you a generalized information about any scene or any uh, scenery, let us say. Okay, so for example, let us say I have, whenever we are going to look for, uh, let us say a cricket match. Okay, so we are watching it in a day. Okay, so let us say in that day we are going to receive multiple colors. But for example, if I am going to walk on the road in a moonlight, okay, so let us say in the moonlight it is not having any kind of color information, it is all about the black and white. So these are the rods which are going to get stimulated in case of your moonlight, so they are going to give you a low level illumination information. So that's why these are called as a dim light receptors or scotopic vision. Is that fine? So remember that rods are nothing but, it is going to provide you a black and white information, or let us say low level illumination information they are going to provide you. Okay, so in case of moonlight we are going to get only a very few amount of details about that scene. Okay, so all the black and white scene will be there, and they are going to receive the brightness intensity changes into the brightness intensity, and those scene information will be getting by means of these rods. Is that fine? Okay, and as these are spread across the retina, okay, inside the that particular your eye globe. Okay, so they are connected to the single nerve ending, and because of that they are not going to provide you a fine detail as like your cones. Okay, because the cones are connected to the every each nerve endings. Okay, so each cone is having its own nerve ending, so that's why they are going to give you more detailed information, or rather we can call as they are going to give you more information related to that particular scene. But because all these rods are connected to the single nerve ending, they are not going to give you much information about that particular scene. So the rods are responsible to receive a low levels of illumination, and they are going to called as the scene or vision related to the rods are called as a scotopic vision or dim light vision. So they can perform well, or they will be get stimulated when there is a low level of illumination is there, or we can call this as a black and white receptors, and cones we can call this as a color receptors. Is that fine? Okay, now let us see the more detailed information. Right now we have already discussed it, but still if any point is missing, then we shall be discussing again that in the further slides. Okay, so as I discussed, the human eye is nothing but a nearly a sphere, and whose diameter is roughly about 20 mm. Okay, it has three membranes, right? So eye is enclosed into the three membrane. One is nothing but cornea, which is nothing but a transparent, and sclera, which is opaque, which is non-transparent rather we can call. Okay, the second membrane is nothing but a choroid. So as we discussed, the choroid is consisting of a pigments, and it is going to avoid the back scattering and entering the extraneous bright light into the eye. Okay, and the final, the retina is nothing but your the portion on which the image will be created. Okay, so let us discuss about the choroid. Okay, so choroid contains blood vessels for eye nutrition and is heavily pigmented to reduce the extraneous light entrance and back scattering. So as we discussed, what is the use of this choroid? It is having a pigmented area, right? Okay, fine. So remember that again the choroid is divided into two portions. So the anterior portion, that means the front portion of our eye, is having a lens system and the ciliary bodies. Okay, so lens system, it is nothing but having transparent pigments, and the exterior portion or the back portion of our choroid is consisting of black pigments. So black pigments are avoid the scattering effect into the eye globe. Okay, so that's why the black pigments are at the back end of or exterior portion of our eye, and the transparent pigments, that is color pigments, rather we can receive it from the lens. Okay, so these are nothing but the transparent pigments which are there into the front portion or anterior chamber of our choroid. Okay, so it is as I discussed, it is divided into the ciliary body and the iris diaphragm, which controls the amount of light that enters the pupil. Okay, so pupil is nothing but having a diameter of about 2 mm to 8 mm. This diameter is going to vary, okay, person to person, right? Okay. Now the next is nothing but the lens. Lens is a made up of, as I discussed, it is a made up of fibrous cells, and it is suspended by means of a ciliary fibers, and it is attached to the ciliary body. Okay, and the lens is present in between your iris and ciliary bodies, okay, or ciliary fibers. It is slightly yellow and absorb approximately 8% of visible light spectrum. Okay, so it is going to absorb 8% of visible light spectrum. Okay, retina lines the entire posterior portion. So it is only the back portion, it is going to create the scene or image at the back portion of your wall of that retina. Okay, so image will be created across that back portion of retina. So that is nothing but the first point. It is having a discrete light receptors where they are distributed over the surface of the retina. Okay, so as we discussed about two different receptors, right, and they have distributed across the entire area of the retina, right. So cones are having 6 to 8 million per eye. So how many number of cones are there for a single eye? For a single eye there are 6 to 7 million number of cones present per eye. And how many number of rods we discussed? We discussed about rods are nothing but 75 to 150 million per eye. So cones are responsible for receiving color information, and the rods are responsible for receiving the black and white information. Okay, so we can say that they are gray level receptors, rods are gray level receptors, and cones are color receptors. Is that fine? Okay. Okay, let us discuss more about the retina, because it is going to give you a image of a particular scene, right. So as we discussed, cones are nothing but connected to their own nerve endings. So are you recognize the nerve endings? Okay, so these are nothing but the nerve endings, right. So they have been marked with the color, let us say RGB, right. So cones are connected to each nerve ending, but the rods are connected to the single nerve ending, right. Okay, cones are located in the fovea and are sensitive to color. So as I have discussed it, the cones are primarily located near the fovea, that is the central point of the image or a visual axis, right. Okay, so center of the visual axis is nothing but fovea. Okay, the fovea is nothing but the center part of retina or a image which has been created on the retina. Each one is connected to its nerve ending, right. Cone is visible, cone vision is called as photopic vision or bright level vision. Okay, so as they are receiving the color information, so that's why it is called as photopic vision. Is that fine? Okay, rods are giving a general overall picture of the field of view and are not involved in color vision. So they are not going to give you color discrimination. Okay, so they are going to give you a discrimination in a general form. It may be in terms of black and white. Okay, so several rods are connected to a single nerve. So unlike your cones, they are not connected to each nerve ending. Okay, so multiple rods will be connected to the single nerve endings. Is that fine? Okay, so that's why as these rods are going to provide you a low levels of illumination, details about the low level illumination. So that's why it is called as scotopic or dim light vision. Okay, scotopic and dim light vision. Okay, receptor distribution of the distribution of the receptor is radially symmetric about the fovea. Okay, about the fovea it is symmetric in a manner. Okay, so they are in a symmetric manner. Okay, cones are most dense in the center of the fovea. So as I discussed, cones are primarily located at or across or near the fovea or the center part of the eye. Okay, while rods increase in density from the center out to approximately 20% of axis and then decrease. That means again the cones are also the rods are also dense near the fovea, and they are going to decrease as they are moving away from the fovea. Are you getting it? Okay. So this is nothing but the distribution of cones and rods across the axis. So this is nothing but your vision axis, or it is a fovea, that is nothing but the center of fovea. Okay, so the number of the solid line is representing the cones, number of cones. Okay, so number of cones, it is more at your center of the fovea. Okay, and very small amount it is going to it is going to get distributed from the center. Is that right? Okay, so as you can recognize it. Okay, and there is a one blind spot, the blind spot in which we cannot get any details about any rod or cone. So there are no any rod or cone which is present between 0 degree of axis to the near about 20-degree axis. Okay, fine. Fovea is a circular and its diameter is 1.5 mm. Okay, but can be assumed to be a square sensor array. So likewise we can assume as like our camera. So as like our camera, we are going to assume this fovea as a sensor array of 1.5 mm multiplied by 1.5 mm. So the resolution of we can call this as a fovea as 1.5 mm to 1.5 mm, and the density of cones we have discussed about already. It is 1,50,000 elements per meter mm square, sorry, per millimeter square. Okay, a charge coupled devices, that is camera, imaging chip of medium resolution needs 5 mm by 5 mm of this number of elements. Okay, how the image is going to get created into the eye? Fine. So let us say we are watching a tree. Okay, so let us say a tree of let us say 50 meter. Then what size of tree will be created at the retina? That we are going to look out in this point. Okay, so the eyes is the eyes contains of lens which is going to zoom or focus onto the particular object which we want to see. So the lenses are going to be operated or controlled by ciliary bodies and the lens system, right? So they are going to get controlled with the help of this fibrous material. Okay, so it gets controlled, the lens is get controlled by fibers of the ciliary body, and it is going to focus onto the distant objects. It gets flatter and vice versa. It get flatter means it is going to get a steady view of that particular scene. Okay, so flat view we will be receiving once we are going to focus onto that particular object. Is that fine? Okay, so remember that what is the distance between the particular lens and the center of our retina. Okay, So remember that the distance between the center of lens and the retina, that is nothing but called as focal length. Okay, so the distance between the lens system and the fovea, okay, so this is called as a focal length. Okay, this varies from 70 mm to 40 mm. Okay, the object farther than 3 meter use minimum refractive lens powers and vice versa. Okay, so objects which are longer in distance, okay, they use minimum refractive lenses. Okay, fine. So let us discuss about, let us say we have a tree of 15 meter, okay, and it is 100 meter from our eye, okay, or from us. Fine, then what can be the size of image if it is seen, or if it is visualized or created at retina? Okay, so calculation of retinal image is nothing but like this. So remember that this tree is created in a reverse order, right? So it is exactly mirror image, right? And it is a small version of that particular image, isn't it? So what is the height of tree? It is a height of tree is nothing but a 15 meter. And what is the distance between the object and observer? It is 100 meter. Okay, so likewise, what will be the size of image? That is nothing but x. The size of image created at the retina is x. And what is the distance between the retina and the lens? It is 17 mm. Okay, so it is in terms of mm. So if I am going to calculate this sum or this value, then it will result to 2.5 mm, and that will be the size of that particular tree which will be created at the retina. Is that fine? So likewise, we can understand what can be the scaling, or what is the scaling of that particular object with the help of the size of that object and the distance between the observer and object. Is that fine? So remember that both the distances are important, or both the measurements are very important. If you don't know the distance between the object and observer, then you cannot predict what can be the size of that particular scene which can be created on the retina. Okay, fine. So in this lecture we will conclude up to this point, and then in the further in the next lecture we'll conclude with we'll go for the